Brief demonstration, we'll view the work order to make sure that it's been created successfully in manufacturing and that it's now ready to be executed. We'll do this by searching and viewing the work order in manufacturing that was created in response to the supply order which was created by supply chain orchestration. To begin this navigation, I'll go to the supply chain execution area and then I'll go into work execution. From the home page, I'll expand the task panel and I'll choose the option for Manage Work Orders. Here, I'll search for the work order that was created. So typing in my work order number, and just to make sure I bring back my query, I'll enable all statuses, and then I'll click Search. Next, I'll click on the hyperlink to open up the work order. And from the General Information tab, we can note a few things. Note that the status shows released. Also, under the item, we can see the configuration for my item number, which was created on the sales order. And if I expand the work definition area, you'll notice that the production priority has a priority value of 1. And what that means is that the work order uses the primary work definition of the ATO model. Next, let's click on the Operations tab. And from here, we can see the operations, the items, and the resources that are assigned to each of the operations. From our listing, you'll notice that we have an operation of 30 as opposed to 20. Here, we can see use operation 30 was selected. Later on in the course, we'll talk about when Operation 20 or Operation 30 would be included in the work order after we look at the ATO model, work definition, and the applicability rules. Next, let's click on the Reservations tab. And from here, we can see the sales order number from order management that was been created and ultimately generated this work order that we see here. So in this brief example, we've reviewed the configured item work order that's been created to fulfill the customer sales order. And that completes the demonstration. In this demonstration, I'll review an ATO model work definition. We'll also review the applicability rules that were assigned to the option-dependent operations within the work definition. This will help us understand why certain option-dependent operations are included in the configured item work order, while others are not included. Let's begin our navigation by going into the work definition area. Then, from the task panel, I'll go into Manage Work Definitions. And here I'll pull up an existing work definition. So I'll key in my item and search. And from the Return Manage Work Definitions, we'll look at our first option. So I'll access the work definition by clicking on Main. So notice in our work definition that we have 10 operations. Rather, there are 6 operations, the first sequence beginning with the number 10 rather. So we have the tablet assembly, then performance testing, tablet testing, monogram application, and then finally a tablet packing. Operations, we'll collect these by clicking on the icon for collection. You'll note need to selectively select which of these operations I'm going to go into. I'm going to select all of these, noticing that as I click, they indicate they've been collected. Now with the operations in the toolbar, that the collected items indicates that 6 operations have been collected. I'll go ahead and click on this. And from the collected items, I'll go into the actions and choose Edit. So we'll review these operations a little more. So for the first sequence, number 10, I'll expand. Here we see the parameters of the operation, and also note that this one under the option-dependent details deselected, which means it is a mandatory operation. If we go back and let's expand our second operation, sequence number 20. In this example, we do see that the checkbox has been enabled for the option. Here, we can also see there's an applicability rule which has been linked to this operation. Let's expand this by clicking on the rule. Here we see the rule text editor screen of our syntax, including the values and the operands, and then over in our right-hand side, the region. So we see the breakdown of our options here. For example, if we click on class, you'll notice it expands to a lower, more granular region. And we can see that it has the components ending in 1103 and 11. So this is an example of components that are CPU options. The applicability that operation 20 is applicable if the quad-core 1.9 GHz option is selected by the user as part of the order capture. So let's click cancel, return back to our main screen. We'll close operation 20 and we'll expand operation 30. In this example, we again see that it's an option dependent and includes a rule applicability. So rule. This again is another example of the applicability rule, but in this case, operation 30 would be applicable if the CPU option quad-core is selected by the user during the order capture. Once again, I'll click cancel, return back to our main screen, collapse operation 30, and I'll also click cancel on the edit operations to return back to the work definition details. Back in our edit work definition details window, I'll click on first operations for tablet assembly. Then I'll click on and drill down into the items container. From here, you can see all that have been assigned to this particular operation. If I wanted to see details of any of these components, right click, and then from the actions, I could go into edit. Here I can see, for example, operation item for the tablet assembly, the sequence, and other parameters as well. Let's click cancel, go back to our model. From here, we could also do a multi-select on components. To do that, our collections icon has been enabled, which we can see by the checkbox, and then I could go in and make multiple selections. Here, I'm just grabbing the components underneath our operation 10, making them all enabled. There is also an option operation item assignments to an offline tool if you want to do further analysis. As an example, menu, I could go into actions, and there is an option for export operation items assignment. From here, the dialog box. So in this case, I could open with Microsoft Excel. So I'll choose my option, then click open. Execute, click OK in the dialog box. Now we can see the item assignments from our structure in an Excel format. So we see all the values, including the status, the sequence, operation names and codes, description, the affiliation to the item type and the divisions, and other information. So in this example, we were able to review the ATO model work definition, including operations, items, resources, and applicability rules that are used to create the configured item work order. That concludes the demonstration. In this brief talk, in procuring configured items. The simple flow diagram depicts that after global order promising determines that a sales order must be fulfilled by an external supplier, purchasing will receive a request to create a purchase order. The price of the configured item is calculated